Dola Dongwa Jebe Da Nobar Jebe Ge Taraba Dan Tam Je Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tam Jege Se Jebe Ma Nanga Dang Nyampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Den Dungya Dang De Nudu Lana Me Pa Yang Dabra Zobe Janju Rimbo Je Tompra Ja Dala Dongwa Jebe da nobar jebe ge tarabadan tamje gembe baradu jobra jeba tam jege se jebe manang kadang nyambe senchen tamje dewa dan den dunya dan de ne do lana me ba yang dang pra sobe chanju rimpo je to pra ja da la dang wa jebe da nobar jebe ge tarabadan tamje gembe baradu jobra jeba tam jege se jebe manang kadang nyambe senchen tamje dewa dan den dunya dan de ne do lana me ba yang dang pra sobe chanju rimpo je to pra ja Dala dangwa jebe da nobar jebe ge tarpa dan tam je gembe bardu jobra jeba dam jege ze jebe ma nanga dan nyambe senjen tam je dewa dan den dunya dan de ne do lana me pa yang dabara zobe janju rinpo je do pra ja de je de sang ma ge ge bardu longa yisum ge wala go Mashi bardu lunga yisum ke wala go tu dering ne sonde ne ma chan da samye bardu lunga yisum ke wala go son je jodan so ge jonam la chanjo bardu dane kyab so je dage jinso ge be so nang ge drola penje sangye do prasho sangye jodan so ge jonam la chanjo bardu dane kyab so je Dagi jinso gepe so nange drola penche sangye drupra sho sangye jodan soge jonam la chanchu bardu dani kyapsu je dagi jinso gepe so nange drola penche sangye drupra sho. Now we are at the bottom of page 5. Now turn to page 6 of the opening text. Manang kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewen gendan tampara gyurje dunya dang dunya ge gyudan dewa gyurje dunya mepe dewa dang me dewa gyurje nerin chada ni dang dewe dang nyong lan napara gyurje manang kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewen gendan tampara gyurje Tunga dang dunya ge gyudan dewa gyurje tunga mepe dewa dang me dewa gyurje nerin chada ni dang dewe dang nyong la napara gyurje manang kada nyampe senchen tamje dewa dang dewen kundan tempara gyurje tunga dang dunya ge gyudan dewa gyurje tunga mepe dewa dang me dewa gyurje Nirin chada nidang dewe da nyong la napra gyurje Bajra samaja Bajra samaja Bajra samaja Malu semjen kungi kungyurjin Dude pungje mitze jumze la Ngonam malu jishin Kengyurbe jumden koje neder shesu so agyam padyam pushve dube aloke gende nevede shabda pradeja soha sashi puju jushing medo dram rira lenshe ninde gembadi sangye sing la mekde buwa ye dugun namda shingdun chobra sho jasa wadang Chujing shaba dan jise yirang kusing sowa ye gewa chungse dagi jisaba tamche sobe changju jirngo. Now go to near Nipa's Jewel Garland Fivefold Mahamudra manual. So in a secluded place, sit on a comfortable cushion in Vajra posture. Straighten the spine. Place both hands in a gesture of meditative equipoise below the navel. Gaze at the tip of the nose. Let your tongue lightly touch the upper palate. Leave the teeth and lips in their natural position. Let breath flow comfortably. By relaxing your exhalation and inhalation of breath, little by little, free from effort, breath exhales and inhales just as it is. One should contemplate the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and advantages, contemplate impermanence and death, contemplate karmic cause and effect, and the faults of samsara. With these four contemplations, seeing the nature of samsara, understanding how cause and effect works, appreciating what we have now and the rare opportunity that we have, and recognizing impermanence and death, we do not waste any more time. We make the resolve of not getting entangled, not getting caught so easily, that we will put aside all distractions, that we will let Dharma be the Dharma rather than Dharma deteriorating into something else, which is very easy to do sometimes, that the Dharma deteriorates into something else. Something to improve this life, something to temporarily solve this problem, that problem, and not remembering that the Dharma was ultimately given to solve the problem of wandering in confusion and cyclic existence. Then on page 5 it says, to be liberated from the sufferings of samsara, we now generate the motivation, thinking, I will go for refuge in the three jewels and will practice the meditation and recitation of Bhagavan Vajrasattva. You are the idam above your head on a full moon. This Ahung and Vajra instantly transform into Bhagavan Vajrasattva. His exalted body is white like the peak of a snow mountain, touched by the rays of the sun. His legs are crossed with his two hands. The right holds a Vajra at his heart, and the left holds a bell resting on his hip. is adorned with various jewel ornaments at his heart center. In the middle of a moon, this is a Hung surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. From this Hung, light rays emanate, clearing the obscurations of sentient beings. Streams of elixir are invoked from the hearts of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They dissolve into the Hung. From there, a stream of elixir descends, flows through his body, emerging from the tip of his right big toe. The stream enters the crown of your head, and all the collections of misdeeds, obscurations, and transgressions from beginningless samsaric lifetimes are washed away like dirt by water, and exit from the lower orifices of your body. The stream of elixir fills you from below, swirling upwards, then focusing on the Hung, surrounded by the mantra at the heart of the Bhagavan. Recite the mantra. Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Mandamalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Samaya Mandara. Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Mandamalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Samaya Mandara. Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Mandamalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Mandara. Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Mandamalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Chidam Chidam Guru Om Bhagavan Samantana Gata Pesama Maja Pesama Maha Samaya Satam Bhadra Samaya Mandamalaya Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Anubalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Mandara. Chiram Chiram Guru Om Bhagavan Samantana Gata Pesama Maja Pesama Maha Samaya Satam Om Bhadra Sattva Samaya Mandamalaya Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Anuratam Bibo Savasili Maja Samakamasu Jamajinum Ziram Guru Om Bhagavan Samantana Gata Pesama Maja Pesama Maha Samaya Sato Om Bhadra Sattva Samayam Anubalaya Bhadra Dinabadita Dinamava Sattva Anuratam Bibo Savasili Maja Samakamasu Jamajinum Ziram Guru Om Bhagavan Samantana Gata Pesama Maja Pesama Maha Samaya Sato to the top of page 8. I am ignorant and bewildered. I have transgressed and broken my samayas. O Guru Protector, grant me refuge. The Bhagavan grants his ascent. You should then have faith that he responds with Chala the family. Your broken samayas, negativities, and obscurations are clear. Finally, the Bhagavan dissolves into you, becoming inseparable from your own body, speech, and mind. You then rest in meditative equipoise on the meaning of the union of appearance and emptiness. We'll do a short mandala offering, starting on page 10. It tells us that we should visualize, at least if we're not using the mandala plates, then visualize in the space in front especially. Of course, if you're using the mandala plate, you still visualize, but you also put the grains. So today we're not using mandala plates. So then we visualize the Guru in the form of Vajradhara seated in the center, in the space in front of you. In front of the Guru are the idams. To the right of the Guru are the Buddha jewel. To the back is Dharma jewel. To the left is the Sangha jewel. And in between are all the Dharmapalas, Dakinis. Then just forming the mudra of mandala, and then if you have a mala, you can put your mala inside this mudra. And you think that this whole universe is visualized as a perfect universe with Mount Meru in the middle, the continent Dhruva Videha in the east, Jambudvipa in the south, Aparagodania in the west, Uttaraguru in the north, the sun and the moon. And this universe is overflowing with the glorious and perfect riches of gods and humans. Imagine inconceivable clouds of offerings arising like they do in the complete liberation account of Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. Then starting from the bottom of page 11, this ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime Gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue. As an offering, please accept them. To you, idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue. As an offering, please accept them, O Gurus, idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. Again to the bottom of page 11. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime Gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O Gurus, idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime Gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. O Gurus, idams, and noble three jewels, I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. Then at the end of the session, dissolve the field of accumulation into yourself. and rests in the profound meaning of inseparability. And this second part, the special preliminary. So here, second part is talking about second part of the preliminaries. The first part of the preliminaries, the four thoughts that turn the mind, then specifically Vajrasattva and Mandala. Today, when people do the Fivefold Mahamudra and they do the preliminaries, there is also the practice of refuge, explicitly considered one part, and the practice of Guru Yoga, just so that you know and not be surprised if other people say, "Oh, what you are doing," and don't be surprised, and also don't say, "Oh, we must be doing something wrong." And no, it's just in the early text, it's only Vajrasattva and Mandala identified as specific preliminaries. So the second part, the special preliminary, is the first part of the Fivefold Mahamudra, the preliminary of generating bodhicitta. So, as our precious Lord says, if the steed of love and compassion does not run for the benefit of others, it will not be rewarded by gods or humans. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this foundational attitude. So now on page 14. Loving kindness has four parts. The cause for generating loving kindness. So identify what is it that can give rise to loving kindness within us. And then what is the essence of loving kindness? Meaning, what is it? What is it? Then how to enhance this. And now once we know what it is and we know how to bring it forward and how to generate it, and then the third part is how to enhance it, how to make it stronger and stronger and stronger. And then finally, the fourth part is what is its function? What is its function? So first, the cause. It arises from remembering the kindness of one's parents, abbots, teachers, and so on. Among these, the kindness of one's parents is greatest. How great is their kindness! They have given food as vast as Mount Meru, clothed us in garments as plentiful as the southern clouds, and given milk as vast as the ocean. They have wiped away all that was wet and moistened all that was dry. Remembering such kindness is the cause for generating the mind of loving kindness. And so, particularly think of kindness of parents, and elsewhere Kyopa Rinpoche says, if that is difficult, then the idea here is to bring to mind someone or a number of people even. The main thing here is how to give rise to loving kindness. It's not some kind of therapy for you to repair your relationship with this or that person, and that can come later. Here it's about what do you have to mentally bring to mind or to bring to your heart, which person or persons you should bring to heart, and that you can easily feel that they have been kind to you, and then gratitude. So this is, I think, the word here, gratitude, arises in relation to recognizing the kindness that others have shown us. So to give rise to gratitude is part of this practice. That word, sometimes people say, I don't see that word a lot in Buddhist tradition. Yeah, may be true sometimes. That exact word is not seen. But when you look at this instruction for cultivating loving kindness, it's basically to work with gratitude. Then, what is it? Its essence. Second, the essence of loving kindness. As it is said, loving kindness arises upon seeing a cherished child. So how about the feeling? The feeling is the feeling of warmth, the feeling of warmness of heart, the feeling of friendliness that arises when we see a cherished child. Your child, maybe now they're all grown up, but you can also think of them when they were young, or think of a grandchild, or think of a puppy or a dog, a kitten, a rabbit, a pet from your childhood. So this first step now has been divided into two parts. One is about gratitude towards those who have been kind to us. And now, what feeling should we have towards them? We should have the feeling that is similar to the feeling that arises when we see a cherished child. Thus, the essence of love is the inability to separate oneself with fervent affection from those who are greatly kind. Now, bringing the two together is wanting them to be safe, wanting to be close to them, wanting to watch and see that they are happy, protected from harm, safe, and then starting with feeling that way towards those who have been very kind to us, and then extending that, which is the third part. The enhancement of loving kindness has two parts. So, first, cultivating loving kindness based on one's present mother and extending that to all sentient beings. Firstly, as mentioned above, through remembering her kindness, single-mindedly cultivate loving kindness for your mother. By cultivating in this way, again and again, a heartfelt love for your kind mother will arise, such that you do not wish to be separated from her. Then next, extend this out to all sentient beings. The loving kindness that arose from your present mother, expand it now further and further. Cultivate it towards all sentient beings in the eastern direction. Try to radiate in front. When I said before, eastern, it's not literally go find your compass and figure out direction. Eastern means towards the front. And southern towards your right, western towards your back, northern towards your left. The instructions here says, if when you try to radiate to the front, you feel like it's become weak, then you go back to just that one person. Here says your mother, could be your father, could be your child, could be whoever that can naturally help you feel this feeling. Then you go back to that, then you radiate again to the front, and then you try to radiate to the right, to the back, to the left, then you're radiating it in all directions. And so now we will do that. In one of the fifth instructions given by Kyoba Rinpoche, he says, the true core, the body magical wheel for cultivating loving kindness is to bring a slight smile on your face. Have a slight smile on your face, and that will help. When you breathe in, you can imagine breathing in, recalling all the kindness that you have received in the past. Kindness from those close to us, kindness from strangers, kindness from our spiritual guides. Those are also an important source of kindness. So imagine breathing in all of that. And as we breathe in that kindness, it ignites, it brightens the heart so that from our heart center we radiate kindness as well. Metta, loving kindness. And think now that when we radiate the metta, it's not just our own, but the metta of all those who have been kind to us, the metta of our spiritual guides are all radiating back out from us. If you are a visual kind of person, very visually oriented, it might help even to think all those who have been sources of kindness for you. They are now standing all around you, perhaps with one hand holding, put on your shoulder, and they are all radiating kindness to you, and from your heart, their kindness is multiplied, boundlessly radiating in all directions for all beings without exception. The fourth section, the function of loving kindness. The function of loving kindness is to prevent all unfavorable conditions and obstacles from arising. Ultimately, even after attaining Buddhahood, the function of loving kindness is to defeat all the forces of the hordes of Maras. And so this is a reference to Buddha Shakyamuni's life. That even after Buddha Shakyamuni attained enlightenment, first, of course, on the brink of his enlightenment, Mara came. But even after he achieved Buddhahood, Mara did not leave him alone. From time to time, Mara would turn up and Buddha would, kind of deal with him, so to say, by radiating metta. So metta, Gilbert Rinpoche especially, he says, when you are asked, he's saying to his disciples, when you are asked to go bless something, like bless a statue, bless a place, bless a home, he said, there is nothing as effective and powerful as cultivating metta. In a way, somewhat unusual in the Tibetan universe, in the Tibetan Buddhist practice. Often, other masters would emphasize this ritual, that ritual, visualize this wrathful thing, that wrathful thing for protection, for blessing. Gilbert Rinpoche very much emphasizes that metta. In fact, he says, it is through cultivating this, of course with bodhicitta, but through in the front, cultivating loving kindness with bodhicitta as motivation, pushing from behind, so to say. And then he says the samadhi of loving kindness is the samadhi that Buddha Shakyamuni was cultivating on the eve of enlightenment. He says, when Mara came to attack on the eve of enlightenment, Buddha Shakyamuni used metta to defeat Mara and his forces. Then from there, so there was the first watch, first part of the night. And then some disciples asked Gilbert, did he then switch to some other meditation in the second part of the night and the third part of the night? And the night is divided into three parts. At dawn, right before dawn, Buddha Shakyamuni achieved enlightenment. And Gilbert Rinpoche said, actually, no. Then from the samadhi of loving kindness, through the middle part of the night, he make it stronger and stronger and stronger until at the last part of the night, that samadhi turned into the samadhi that destroyed all obstacles to all-knowingness. That it is actually the same samadhi that began as the samadhi of loving kindness. It turned finally into the Vajra samadhi of destroying all obstacles to all-knowingness. So even the result of all-knowingness, Gilbert Rinpoche attributes to, or at least links it to the cultivation of metta. Of course, there are more technical things, such as Gilbert Rinpoche will say, it's not the case, right? It's not the case that loving kindness itself, loving kindness enhanced with bodhicitta. So the second part of cultivating bodhicitta is the cultivation of compassion. Whereas with loving kindness, we use, we instigate, so to say, right? We instigate this rising of loving kindness by bringing someone that we really like, we feel fondness for. Elsewhere in some instructions, Gilbert Rinpoche even says, and if it's really, really hard for you to even feel that way towards like mother, towards a kitten, he says, okay, then bring a boyfriend or girlfriend. But then in that instruction, he says, now please don't go tell other people I told you this, because if they don't understand me, they don't understand I think he's saying that if they don't understand me, if they've never met me, and they just randomly hear someone say, "Oh, you should, meditate on your boyfriend or girlfriend in order to give rise to metta," you might think, "What kind of Buddhist teacher is this? Is it running a cult or something?" Because generally in Buddhism, right, it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, all those is just so. Gilbert Rinpoche saying, please don't go simply tell people this, okay? He says, this is just, I'm telling you, if you really, really, really then in the end have a hard time using other objects, then he said, then one that you secretly like a lot, bring that person. But again, this is to serve as a catalyst. So to serve as a catalyst to instigate that, he says, bring someone that you cherish easily. Compassion is the opposite. You bring someone that is disagreeable in a couple of ways, and not like both ways, but you can choose. Disagreeable in the sense of they are in so much suffering, and you go, oh my gosh, they're so suffering so much. That's one kind of disagreeable. The other kind of disagreeable is even more, as in it says, bring an enemy. And then in a set of instructions that I've shared before, and we will look at that, of compassion, a very special instruction, he says, you bring an enemy, and then from there, you work on remembering, even this enemy right now, even this person that I cannot stand, that I see is doing harm to me, to others, actually this has been my mother before. And then to feel, oh my gosh, how much suffering this person must be in, that they will even resort to dealing with their suffering by harming their children, me, and all others who are their children. And they must be in so much suffering. And then you give rise to compassion towards them. And then extend that again. With love and compassion, continuing to work on love and compassion in this way. Not yet bodhicitta, okay? You have to add the bodhicitta piece to now make it bodhicitta, which is expressed in the words on page 20. This is aspiration, and then later action bodhicitta. In the Fivefold Mahamudra manual liturgy that people use these days in the lineage, here they put the formal taking of Bodhisattva vow ceremony as how to cultivate this first one. Also, particularly Drigong Dhammakirti, Drigong Chodra's manual of taking the Bodhisattva vow. So they do that together with accumulating recitations, repeating the Bodhicitta vow 100,000 times, together with each time saying the aspiration and action Bodhicitta vow, making one prostration. And so at the end of that, you accumulate 100,000. And so that's how it's done today, when this first part of the Fivefold Mahamudra is done. But it is not in this 14th century text, okay? So we won't be doing it. Not saying right or wrong, good or bad, just pointing out the differences. On page 20 then. So try to recall meaning of cultivating loving kindness, meaning of cultivating compassion, and then now for generating aspiration bodhicitta. all enemies who bear hatred towards me, and all of us obstructors who would harm us, then the mandala of Mara, the dark forces that create disharmonious conditions and obstruct the attainment of liberation and all-knowingness, may all sentient beings as numerous as space, especially our father and mother, those not yet liberated from the ocean of suffering, that is samsara, be liberated. Those not yet freed from the bondage of defilements, be freed. Those who have not yet found rest in the Shravaka vehicle or particular Buddha vehicle be brought to rest, and those who have not yet fully transcended suffering, I will lead them to completely transcend suffering through the Mahayana. Page 23. Until I reach the heart of awakening, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue for as long as I live, and from now until this time tomorrow, I will take into my experience this Mahayana profound path of the union of the creation and completion stages. More generally, action bodhicitta vow is the vow of the commitment, the resolve to practice the 10 virtues, to practice avoiding the 10 non-virtues, from now until Buddhahood is achieved, from now until the end of this life, from now until this time tomorrow when we reaffirm this vow, reaffirm this commitment. Moreover, you can think of it as a commitment or a vow to cultivate the 6 paramitas of the bodhisattvas. Then the more specific in this context, it's to cultivate the creation and completion stages and to cultivate them as unified, which is the next 3 parts of the Fivefold Mahamudra. So starting with the first part of creation stage, which is the part of cultivating the idam. In this case, the idam is idam chakasamvara, co-emergent chakasamvara. So on page 25, again quoting from the famous Fivefold Mahamudra song of Gilbert Rinpoche, it says, "Our precious Lord said, if with one's body the king of deities exalted forms, the stronghold of the unchanging ground is not seized. The retinue of Dakinis will not assemble. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this body as idam." If with one's body, here one's body is not talking about the ordinary mundane body, but the idam body, the king of deities exalted forms. And who is the king of deities? Whoever the idam that you're practicing, you should think that is the king of deities, that is the sovereign, that is the most complete, perfect form. And that's the meaning of king of deities. And what is that? Who or what is that king of deities? Your fundamental awakened appearance, your idam. Then, within this body, the stronghold of the unchanging ground is not seized. What is that stronghold of the unchanging ground? Buddha nature. So if you do not actualize Buddha nature, if you do not so strongly, so powerfully, you could say, manifest this Buddha nature in the context of a idam, then the Dakinis will not assemble. These Dakinis, there are outer Dakinis, there are inner Dakinis. So more importantly, the inner Dakinis have to gather What are the inner dakinis? The inner dakinis right now are all the thoughts, the emotions, the energies. But right now they are not behaving like dakinis, or at least we're not experiencing them as dakinis. In fact, we're experiencing them as gods and demons. Gods meaning good feelings, good sensations, good situations, that we become attached to. Demons, bad sensations, bad situations, bad thoughts, bad feelings, undesirable things that we cannot stand. We want to chase away. We want to pray to this, pray to that, to say, please take that away from me. Please take that away from me. So now we're experiencing all these things as gods and demons running around like a circus. Like a circus, where the manager has left. So nobody knows where the tigers are. Nobody knows where the clowns are. Running all over the place, just chaos, But they start to behave like dakinis. When this is no more a circus. When you grasp the stronghold of Buddha nature, then you manifest as deity, then it says the dakinis come. Outside and inside. Outside means all these protective forces, all these forces that are conducive, because the essence of real dakinis is wisdom. The essence of dakinis, in fact, dakinis are called wisdom dakinis, is wisdom. And this is the greatest siddhi attainments. So when Kyoba Rinpoche said to Pamadrupa, Kyoba Rinpoche came to Pamadrupa, then received all the profound natural state Mahamudra teachings, the fourth part of our Fivefold. He really liked that. But Pamadrupa says, but you have to cultivate the Fivefold. So Kyoba Rinpoche gave that a try, but then he went back to Pamadrupa. He said, can I not? Do I have to do these other things? Can I just do the natural state Mahamudra? Then Pamadrupa said, what? You don't want to actualize the two bodhicittas? Then he said, and you don't want the siddhis? If you don't want to actualize the two bodhicittas, then no need to cultivate bodhicitta. And you don't want attainments? You don't want siddhis? If you don't want siddhis, then no need to cultivate idam. Sure, yes, of course, no need to cultivate idam. And then he says, and you don't want to realize nature of mind and realize the results of practicing the natural state Mahamudra? If you don't want that, then no need to cultivate devotion. Yes, of course. Then he said, and you don't want the ability to greatly benefit beings? If you don't want that, then yeah, no need to practice dedication. And Kyoba said, okay, I get it. Then, he stopped being lazy. Because there's something about the natural state Mahamudra that is very simple. And if we're attracted to it, it's often because, well, we cannot imagine doing all these other things. They seem like such a chore. Especially if, if the guru says, you have to do the 100,000. Oh, nah, I don't want. I will practice natural state Mahamudra. So we have already started our getting familiar with the idam practice. But today, instead of going to actually do that meditation, which you should do on your own, I want to again, which I already started, but I want to again read you some passages from Gyoba Rinpoche's instructions, explanation on how to cultivate the co-emergent Chakasamvara. So he says, one might wonder, do I cultivate my body, my form, as innately a Buddha because that is the case? Or am I cultivating myself as a Buddha even though I am not? In a way, he's saying, am I faking it until I make it? Which is sometimes how we have explained, right? Idam. You fake it until you make it. But his answer is a deeper answer. He says, no, you're not faking it until you make it. You are already it. So that means in the moment when you are cultivating it, it is it trying to be it. Does that make sense? That you should understand it that way. It is it, meaning the innate Buddha, finding its way to manifest as it is. So that it's not enough to even think I'm faking it until I make it. Although it's okay if at some other point you feel that that's one way to understand what you're doing when you're cultivating idam. But even more bold and more accurate understanding is, no, it's not faking it until you make it. It's you are already it. But this it is being obstructed by the temporary arising conditions. And so he says, your own ordinary, even this so-called ordinary body, speech, and mind, they innately, in their essence level, they innately abide as the essence of the Vajra body, speech, and mind of a complete Buddha. So that's when he goes into, he mentions that you need to understand the 5 manifest awakenings, the teaching on manifest awakenings. Right now is manifest confusion for all of us. But even when it's manifest confusions, it's a confusion. And therefore the manifest awakenings have not gone somewhere else. It's just we are mistaking what is going on. And as long as that mistake exists, then mistaken results continue to arise. Mistaken results continue to manifest, continue to arise. Moreover, the meaning of co-emergent is this: one's own mind, the awareness emptiness that is not divided into concepts of samsara and nirvana, good or bad. Sorry. Divided into any concepts of samsara, nirvana, good, bad. So that awareness emptiness, that
which is your own mind, and the unceasing arising, the self-display of this mind. In other words, the heart and the activities of the heart. These two is what co-emergent is. In some traditions, they will say, we need to distinguish between the heart and the activities of the heart, and we need to basically stop the activities of the heart and come back to the heart. Like mind and what mind projects, get rid of what mind projects, come back to mind. Here in the Mahamudra understanding, they're like, no, 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 no. If you try to get rid of what the heart, the activities of the heart, the projections of the mind, that you even think that you need to do that is you don't understand that right now what is projected out. The problem is not that it's projecting out. The problem is not recognizing that what's out there comes from in here. Please, no need to think about this like, or don't confuse this with like physics and what's out here, you know. We're not really talking about this table. We're not really talking about this prayer wheel. We're talking about how we experience table and how we experience prayer wheel, how we experience our neighbor, how we experience our child. That's the projection, what the content of what we experience. And the emotional reactions that come in the wake of those coming into contact. That all of that is the display of the mind. And the display has no problems. Not understanding the nature of that display, that's where the problem is. And so, co-emergent, mind and what mind experiences. What mind experiences, if you want to further divide, there are two. One is what it projects, and two, it's the emotional and the further thoughts that arise when the mind and what it projects contact each other, and then the further thoughts and emotions that arise. All of this is co-emergent. And so the meaning of co-emergent is your own mind and the unceasing arising, the self-display sometimes called, of this mind. These two have abided together co-emergently from the very beginning. Therefore, it is called co-emergent. Even at the time when this entire body of yours was actually formed, it abided as the two white and red bindus of the element of bodhicitta. And this is co-emergent, bliss and emptiness. The five aggregates are the five victorious ones, are the five families. The five elements are the five consorts. All the countless channels are the nature of wisdom, which is emptiness. All the countless winds, these winds are the energy that travels through the meridians, what we call the channels. All the countless winds that abide within them are the nature of method, which is clarity. And so this is inseparable union of clarity and emptiness. In short, that this very mind of yours abides as the victorious Sambhogakaya is co-emergent appearance emptiness. So all appearances turns into the activity of Sambhogakaya, when you have realized your mind as Dharmakaya, then all appearance, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, arise as the activities of Sambhogakaya. In the time of the cause, at the causal level, meaning the cause that at the ground level, sentient beings have a mind that loves according to their own preference. Even hawks, wolves, and so on have this cause, have this ability to love those that they prefer. So that is the cause. On the path, having been introduced to the nature of mind by the Guru's instructions and having practiced, various experiences and realizations arise. So meaning, if we look at just this one thing, loving kindness, when it is still untrained and under power of confusion, that love is still there. So it says, even hawks, even venomous snakes, they're giving examples of like those animals that humans consider to be very cruel. Actually, we know they're not necessarily more cruel. Human beings are probably more cruel. But it's just using example of what humans in his culture think of as very cruel. And so he says hawks and wolves. So meaning is saying, even those that we instinctively think are very cruel, they have natural capacity to love. He said that is at the level of cause. Then at the level of path, being instructed, being guided by good guides, we begin to bring out this loving kindness so that it develops in an unbiased way. Then it says, and then at the time of result, one displays various forms to tame whoever needs taming. Peaceful forms, wrathful forms, animal-headed forms, many-legged, many hands. And he says, these are all arising from the result of having cultivated loving kindness. And loving kindness towards all beings in all shapes and all forms is also what gives rise to deities that look so strange sometimes. And the question of, are they really wearing human heads at some point? Strung together with intestines? Actually, so now, okay, now we can talk about this in more detail. It's saying, yes, and perhaps there were people that cruel, wearing, like if you watch some of these movies about ancient times, people would cut off enemies' head, put on a stake, right? And stick it on the ground to intimidate, right? And yes, but if we cultivate loving kindness towards this type of cruelty, what Kyoba here is saying is, because of that, at the time of having become Buddha, at the time of result, you may even manifest a form whereby you're wearing a garland of heads strung with intestines. Because that form may be necessary to tame, to overcome exactly that kind of violence. So in pre-secret mantra, in not secret mantra Buddhist tradition, Buddhas are always depicted according to the form that people saw Buddha Shakyamuni to be in. So human, right? Normal number of hands, normal number of heads, looking serene, peaceful, to communicate the ultimate peace of All affective emotions have been pacified. So that's the basic form. So Buddhists all over the world recognize that form. But in secret mantra, it's saying, actually, the Buddha's Nirmanakayas, the Buddha's Sambhogakayas, can take on many, many different forms. And here we are given an understanding of and what are the mechanics going on here? It is related to when you don't give up on very evil beings, beings who might even cut off heads to make into garlands and wear. Then later on, when you attain Buddhahood, you have the ability to deal with those types. If you don't give up on radiating, kindness to those who are consumed by lust, consumed by attachment, later on, when you arise as Buddha, so here it says, through the inexhaustible wheel of adornments of exalted body, speech, and mind, the benefit of sentient beings arises unceasingly. This is co-emergent Nirmanakaya. So then there are images even of Buddhas, quite scandalous. The images of Buddhas, like Chakasamvara, co-emergent Chakasamvara, in union. In union, of course, it's our polite way of saying it, but in fact, the image is that of sexual union. Again, it's liable to misunderstanding. But we are saying here, in some ways, right, the very basis of how life continues is in fact neither something to be denied nor something to get caught up and have no awareness of, but to directly transform that. Then it can arise in that way, peaceful, wrathful, with animal heads, and so on. So this is why also, the idam looks the way it looks, or certain idams. So the general training for this is to have idam Chakasamvara. In Gilbert Rinpoche's teachings, he also says, and those of you who cannot train or don't feel like there is an affinity with Chakasamvara, he says, then train with Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, whether 4 arms or 1,000 arms. So there is a very quite early manual. After the time of this manual that we're working on, Gyawan Rinchen Punso, maybe 2 generations down, he has a Fivefold Mahamudra manual, and then his disciple further elaborated on that, where it's the Avalokiteshvara is used as the idam. So that's it for today. You have any questions? I see Judy's mysterious raised hand again and then disappeared. I think it's a mispressing. Specific to what we've talked about.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Tell me, put like the camera. Yes. I was thinking that love and kindness and compassion without wisdom is foolish.
Yes, of course. That's why bodhicitta.
But why the dakinis come after we have love and compassion? I would think like first is the wisdom of emptiness and see the impermanence of everything. So
All
when we
that is
see
there.
that,
All that is there. It's not so linear.
so it will be like electricity, two
No,
poles, they come together. And no,
it
I
says
don't understand.
you are thinking too much in a linear way.
Okay.
First of all, also you're missing something. It says the stronghold of the mind is needs to be grasped within the cultivating of what? Not loving kindness and compassion, but loving kindness and compassion and bodhicitta. All there is there already, arising as the idam.
All together.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. I get it. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No. It's very good because you are asking this question, someone else is asking this question, someone else is asking this question. And
Yeah.
so we have to keep working on understanding, it's all one big picture. It's all one big picture. Then when we zoom into things, we can of course talk about things as if, oh, there's this piece, there's this piece, there's this piece, there's this piece, right? But it's never one piece hanging out around somewhere out there.
It's all together.
It's all together. It's all together, But of course, when we talk, we have to talk in a linear way. We have to talk
Um,
before, we have to talk after. We have to
for
talk,
your understanding.
yeah. But when it comes to understanding, we have to put them all together,
Okay.
which you
Great.
are
Thank you.
already doing. Which you're already doing. Your question tells me that's what you're doing. Good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mhm.
Bring
Thank you.
it together, bring it together.
Yeah. I will work on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes. So those of you who are more engineering minded, you also know even with an engineering mind, you engineer by bringing all the parts together. You always bring the parts together. All that brings the parts together. Yeah. So here again, so for the sake of, since that is brought up, I want to go back before we clear. It says on page 25, that song, if with one's body, which is the king of deity's exalted form, the stronghold of the unchanging ground is not seized. What is the stronghold of the unchanging ground? That's Buddha nature. What is Buddha nature? Buddha nature is emptiness. If you do not understand emptiness in the context of manifesting as deity, the Dakinis will not gather. What is the Dakinis gathering? What did I say? All your, right now, thoughts, emotions, likes, don't likes, good, bad. Now they are behaving and appearing as gods and demons. Gods are things we like, demons are things we don't like. When we understand deeply that our mind is Buddha, our appearance is Buddha appearing for others, which is what the training of Idam is all about. When we seized, when we grab hold of this strongly, then naturally, so poetically it says, all this becomes dakinis. What are dakinis? Dakinis are wisdom. This is how wisdom is achieved. Don't think, oh, Idam practice. I don't know, too much work. As they say, talk is cheap. Oh, everything is wisdom. Talk is cheap. And it's not as superficial as just that, oh, everything is wisdom. Everything I experience is emptiness. Yeah, can you do it with a idam with many heads and legs and heads hanging from body? That's, where the work is, where the refinement is. Okay, dedication on page 78. By the virtues collected in the three times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Bodhi. Changchu Sem Chorim Poche Ma Ge Banam Ge Gyurchi Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Bel War Shou. I'm going to share another resource in the WhatsApp chat for the Fivefold Daily Fivefold Mahamudra group. So please check your WhatsApp. Over the weekend, I shared one translation of the Vajrasattva mantra, which you may find helpful. So take note there. Okay, so see you mañana. Tata.